finish line. You can't get there from here.
Strap on your pee bag. Wide Army. Running with scissors.
HWYRT.
How come you're not running right now? No, seriously, grab some headphones and go for a run while you listen.
Come on, Bray.
And now, without further ado, here are Bryan and Peter.
Bryan, thank you so much.
Whoa, is that a ghostly visage? I'm sensing.
No,
Is that
it's really me,
Peter from Beyond, telling me how to run a podcast?
Peter from Zoom. I'm trying to tell you.
Peter, are you in Japan calling me on Zoom?
No.
Joining me for this episode of How Was Your Run Today?
Well, I'm back. Everything's fine. Way to do a show without me. Thanks.
Well, you did one without me. I mean, we got to keep the people happy.
That's never been the mission statement, but that's fine.
I mean, Andrew Mahon sent us an email. So,
You did?
yeah.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. You know, that crazy Antarctic explorer.
Yeah, with the sea spiders.
He's actually training for the Solstice 50K that he's going to do from home.
What?
He's going to run-walk it, but he is bound and determined to hit 50K. And he sent a photo and he said, "Should I be worried? should I be worried about the vultures that are following me?" And then he sends a photo with actual vultures in a tree.
That's very funny. Probably should be worried about that, Andrew.
Andrew, you'll be fine. I don't know.
I think it's great. I think the more people from home participate in this would have been shorter tomorrow ultra on Saturday, June 21st, the better. I think this is terrific.
Everybody's doing it. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's getting ready. Peter, how was your trip to Japan recently?
Well,
Wait.
Oh, boy.
Nope. I'm going to just ask you the question everybody wants to know.
Okay.
How are the public baths? How are the public baths in Japan?
I do want to say a couple things for the record, because when I re-listened to what I had said, I pronounced it incorrectly. It is onsen.
Okay.
I had said osen. It is onsen. Onsen are hot springs, and then there's baths. And public is a weird term. Like it's yes, but they're also part of facility, or it's not like you just walk in per se. You have to maybe be checked into the hotel or the resort or the area, or you go to one of these towns that is an onsen town. And when you go there, you can like wear the robe, wear the special shoes, and truck around to go as many as you want.
Okay, so it's sort of a spa style kind of situation.
Yeah. And of course, it's not intersex, right? There's men's and women's, and they are next to each other or near each other, but they are. Okay,
because I was envisioning like you go to wash your hands and you suddenly find yourself in a big bathtub full of people.
No, it's a little bit more deliberate than that. You actually plan. There's certain outfits you can wear to it, and certain robes. I think they have a different name, but you have to do a whole cleaning ritual. You have to scrub very clean with soap all over. There's a special area for that. Then you have to wash it all off, and then you do a second round, and then you wash it all off, and then you go in and you pour some water on yourself to get ready, and then you just sink right in. It's incredibly hot, it's incredibly stimulating, and it's incredibly great. And then, after you've been in sort of the bigger one, sometimes they have the wooden bathtubs that are even hotter, and you get into those, and they're amazing. And you don't stay into that too long. And sometimes they have saunas that are incredibly hot, and you really can't stay in there long. And then they have a tub that's super cold. Now, I did do the super cold, and it is a shock to the system, and I really thought I was going to die. So much so that the next time I had that opportunity, because they don't all have them, I decided just to like take the scooper and like dump the cold water, and I audibly exclaimed, no one is talking. This place is quiet. You're just hearing like water scrubbing and like people going, ah, right? But you just hear me go to the cold water thing and be like, nope. And then you hear me sloshing on me and go, whoop. Like I really couldn't hold myself back from yelping. It's glorious. I must have gone to 5 different ones. It was glorious. There are some that are outside that you can look up at the stars if it's nighttime. There was one in Tokyo that was way up high at the top of a hotel. So technically not an onsen because it wasn't hot spring fed. Those are more just like the idea of it.
Right.
It's very similar feel, but the water when it's a hot spring has like a texture almost. The water, like it's, and then when you're done, you have to do the cleaning thing again. You have to get back on the little stool. You get the bucket. You get the sprayer. You get the crazy soaps. The key there is lather, and you've got the little towel that you use for everything. And when you actually go in, you have to fold the towel and put it on your head because that towel can never go in the water. There's a whole thing, and it's incredibly relaxing, incredibly centering. There's a little bit of meditation to it, I think. As you oddly get your heart rate up, and then you get your heart rate down. Yeah, just incredible. And then you drink right afterwards. You step outside after you've dried off and changed. You drink cold milk, or you drink cold coffee milk, and that's like a ritual. And you've never had anything as good because you're so hot. And sometimes they give you little popsicles too, like fruit flavored pops. God, it was just great. So yeah, totally awesome. Totally onsen. Totally everybody should go.
All right. Well, I'm glad I asked you that first. That was amazing. Thank you for that description of that ritual. Peter, how was the rest of your trip to Japan?
I mean, all glory and honor go to David Macklem for being my Sherpa guide through all of Japan, the Big Island anyway. And he spent 13 days with me, and he built an itinerary that was flawless. We got to use so many forms of public transportation, trains and buses, and a couple taxi cabs. I got to see the Mario Kart guys in the streets of Tokyo. They're like full-size Mario Kart, like the video game. They do like, you rent them and you go on like this tour with them and you putt around. I didn't do it. I just watched them.
This doesn't seem safe.
No, it's definitely not safe. I will say the country is incredibly safe. The country is, there's no drugs, there's no guns, there's no real crime that we would think of. It's very clean. Everyone follows the whole walk, don't walk thing. There's no eating in the street. There are no, and this is not hyperbole, there are no garbage cans. You have to deal with your own trash that you create. You bring it with you, you take it, you pack it in, you pack it out. You're going to have to get rid of it in your hotel room or at the next business you go to that may or may not have a trash can.
How much of did that seep into your thought process?
It's
like day 1 and day 2.
So much of what we were doing was trucking around that I always had a bag with me. I packed the really big backpack, but I also had a small strap bag, like side bag that you can sling to your back or whatever. But so I always had a place to put stuff. I'll say this, vending machines are very big. You get a lot of things out of vending machines. Mostly that's where you get water or green tea, or they have great bottled coffee, black with like a latte style with milk. Incredible juices. They're very affordable. And if you drink it there in front of the vending machine, there is going to be a recycling bin. But because they're so ubiquitous, by the time you're done drinking it somewhere else, there's going to be, but you're always looking at people holding their bottles like doing the eagle eye search for the recycle bin. But in general, on the streets, no one's eating, no one's drinking. You do those things when you're sitting down at a place of business. You're not doing it on the train, except for the Shinkansen, which is the high-speed rail that are much longer journeys. Then it's expected that you've brought food on. And on some of them, someone comes by with a little cart and sells you if you want that. And on the trains, there are trash receptacles.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I mean, as opposed to where we live, there's opportunities to eat at every moment and throw things away at every moment.
You certainly had a lot of offering of food everywhere. And their 7-Eleven game, and in general, their convenience store game is so much higher.
This is what I understand, yeah.
Yeah, like you can really eat very well and relatively cheaply out of those places. And many people do. Also, on the affordability thing, transportation seemed pretty affordable. In general, things seemed affordable. And the exchange rate being what it was, I think I gave you an example of like a Starbucks thing that I did go to where I had a latte and a scone, which here in the States would easily clip $12, $13. But there it was like just under $5. Like that was the equivalent. Tim, the friend of Dave, who was interviewed by Dave, drove us around a little bit, took us to the inland sea of Japan for some sightseeing. It was lovely to meet him. He's a wonderful fellow and a good friend of Dave. I met all of Dave's friends. It was just lovely. And to see as many places as we went to, Kyoto, Gifu, Aomori, his hometown of Okayama, a little ton of Tokyo. I mean, so many different areas. Chiba, where Star Wars convention was. I mean, it was 13 days, but it flew by. And to bring it back to the show, I mean, I got 175,000 steps in over about 12 and a half, 13 days, including a run in Dave's hometown, which was unbelievably gorgeous.
Was it? What made it gorgeous?
The town is there's a river that goes through the town, and there's an older style Japanese castle on a hill, and it is just beautifully maintained. The trees. I was catching the last of the cherry blossoms there. It was a rainy morning that I went, but it was like a cool 58-degree rain. You know, it was perfectly comfortable, especially after the winter we've had. And so many birds. I saw a big jumping fish, a kind of carp, jumping, like literally just wiggling up and jumping out of the river. They have a ton of cranes, as to be expected. A lot of crows. Yeah, a lot of crows. Just great, just beautiful. And everything is like a fire road type path. You know, it's very comfortable to run on.
Oh, nice. So you definitely felt like you were in a different place, completely different country, completely different culture.
Very much.
And yet you managed to enjoy yourself quite a bit.
Yeah, and Dave had an interesting thing that he would do at the end of every day. He'd say, how much did you need to have to know Japanese today? Did you need to know Japanese today? And that's how he put it. Like, did you need to know Japanese to get through this day? And the answer was 100% no. Now
you had somebody who has lived in Japan for 20 years.
Yeah, knows the ropes, knows the culture, knows, you know, this is proper, this is less proper. You're clearly a tourist. And as time went on, I started seeing it from his point of view more and more. Like, wow, when you see somebody who just freshly got there, and they could be Australian, or they could be American, or they could be Canadian, or they could be English or European. They don't know what they're doing. They're not doing it right. They're not standing on the right side of the escalator. But that's you only can get that by being there, doing it maybe wrong a little bit, and then getting it right. It's fascinating. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Wonderful.
And, Yeah, I knew it would be. I mean, I've certainly read up on enough about it, and he's certainly told me a lot about it in the last 20 odd years. But it's to experience it. I was just talking to someone today, a colleague today, who's been 7 times, and she was saying you try to explain what it is to people, but you kind of have to experience. It's a little bit like long distance running or like doing a big race. You can talk about it a lot, but now it would be interesting, for example, to talk to James McCabe now that he's done his Boston and all that anxiety is behind him, and now he knows what that animal is, right? You have to really like take the big long flight, be totally out of your mind, eat food you don't usually eat, see structures that you've never seen. Just everything's designed well. Every use of space is done well. The trains run on time.
Right.
It's just a different way of being.
Well, and the history behind everything is totally different than the history behind everything here. Like the way cities are built or the way whatever culture happens.
Yep.
It's a different background. That's what I love traveling, right? Because you can't just overlay your experience or what you know from where you live on where you are, because actually that's not relevant at all. It can certainly happen in the States, but it happens less frequently. But you can go to different countries. You can't just overlay your lens or your sense of why things are, because during that 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, 2,500 years, 5,000 years, other things were happening.
Right. A lot less robots than I expected.
You mean people weren't just getting up? Robots weren't helping them up from their meals, and then they'd sit down and the robots would carry them wherever they wanted to go? That's what I thought would happen.
I mean, that'd be great. No, the older folks were definitely in great shape. No, I saw 1 or 2 or 3 robots, but they were very specific uses.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
This might be my last question on Japan. Because you were just talking about somebody who's been there 7, 8, 9 times, and it's hard to put your finger on why they kept going back or what made it what it was. But so that's my question to you, which was what surprised you the most, or what continues to linger in your mind the most from this trip to Japan?
Nowhere that I went and really did a lot of north-south, did a lot of east-west coverage of the main island. We never actually got to other islands, but got to the edges of 2 different places where we saw other islands, right? So I could see Hokkaido, or on the south, I could see, I don't know the name of it. Dave told me and I forgot. But just because of the amount of train access, I was astounded at how beautiful everything was. Nothing didn't look great. Do you know what I mean? Everything looks amazing. The most simple house looks amazing. Sort of the mid-range stuff looks amazing. Their factories look interesting. Certainly the farming. I mean, it's a lot of agriculture. Looks, everything in Tokyo, every part of Tokyo. Tokyo is the size of like 6 or 7 Manhattans. It's very big.
Right, it's huge.
And it's like you can be there forever and never see all of it. Like, it's just neighborhood and neighborhood and neighborhood, and just taking the train out to Chiba, which you go past Tokyo Disney, and you can see it all. That doesn't interest me per se, but for some people that was an amazing thing, like a bonus. Like, oh, look out the window, there's Tokyo Disney. I don't know, man. I think I was mesmerized by the beauty, because everything's really well maintained,
well curated.
Yeah, because space is at a premium, and there's only so much of any of it, and
right, they are on an island.
Yeah. So to go back to your very first question, what does the carrying your own trash thing do to your brain?
Yeah.
It makes you start thinking about the byproduct of being a person who wants convenience, right? I'm not cooking these meals. I'm just buying them packaged, or I am buying this ramen in this shop and I'm sitting here and eating this ramen, but I'm not taking anything with me when I'm done. Or, yeah, I bought these snack foods. Do I really eat them now, or do I eat them because I'm going to be on the next big long train ride? You just start changing how you consume. And you think about, like, well, there's a cost to this. I'm going to have to hold this stuff. Do I have a bag to hold the stuff? Speaking of that, I made a big deal about the backpack. Backpack was great. Really recommend it. I did have to buy a wheelie suitcase on the last 2 days I was there because I bought so much stuff for people.
Okay.
So I packed that to the gills, and I had
So you bought a toy chest.
I was wondering if you'd do that. They did. A toy chest on wheels.
So you went to the Star Wars celebration and you filled the toy chest.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a great time. But there's enough stuff online. Anyone can read about that. I won't recount that here. Just know that it was nerdtastic.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little worried, like, will it be a little, okay, I've seen this, done this? Not exactly. You can experience all of that because that's so dynamic. So many different ways to approach it. Yeah, it was just overall, it was, by far the best trip of my life.
Wonderful. Yes. You still need to go out and do things. You can't take it all in on your phone.
No, yeah, the phone don't do it. Like you can't understand these high speed trains until you actually get on one. I mean, it goes 180 miles per hour.
That's fast.
There was a point where I fell asleep on one, and when it deaccelerated to come into the next town, I thought the plane landed. You know that jolt you get when you wake up, touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Great stuff. Great stuff. Everybody should go if they can swing it.
Fantastic.
So I'm in Savannah, Georgia right now for work.
Okay.
Do want you to know I ran here yesterday, so I've now run in Savannah, Georgia. And I ran with friend of the show, Emmy award-winning filmmaker, Greg Shea.
Oh, I love that guy. How was the weather down there? What's it like in Savannah?
So hot. It's hot.
Like 85?
No, it was like 80 when we went, but it was asphalt, 85. Like
God.
When you're getting on the street, and when we by the river, there was a good breeze. We were right by the main river here. But going a few blocks in, we were trying to find this park, and it was just whoa. And so I could only do about a mile and a half. It wasn't happening for me. I had to get to a work thing. He had more time, so he probably ran 17 miles. I don't know, because he's a genius.
So that's, 80. That's like end of June kind of weather. Like June 21st kind of weather.
And it was humid. It's not a clean. It's a humid, heavy. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying my body was not used to that.
Yes.
But it felt good to do that. So getting the miles in, getting ready. This will be shorter tomorrow.
Well, there's a race here in the Boston area while you're gone.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go? Did you do well?
Well, no, I wasn't there. But our friend George Woodward was. Do you want to hear his recap?
I am dying to know about how George Woodward did.
Who's that? Well, that's George Woodward right there. Marathon George. Go catch that sheep.
Hey, it's GW, Marathon George. Peter, thanks for the picture of you eating tempura in Japan. I hope you liked it as much as I do. Can't wait to hear all about the trip. I saw Danielle the sheep at the expo. Then, to make it even better, the next day we crossed the finish line of the BAA 5K at almost the same time. I can't catch the sheep, but finally, after not seeing her for years, we got a chance to talk. I took the club bus with my niece Kristen to the start of the race. Kristen is a 40-something mother of 4, a wife, and a successful attorney, and she went out and ran 3:03. She was the leader of the Somerville Roadrunners veterans team that was 4th in the marathon. Wow. Just wow. It was nice to have someone to ride the bus with to the start, although Kristen and I didn't talk very much. We were in that pre-race mode where neither one of us wanted to say anything to anyone. I was well organized and was the first in my corral. Time to thank the volunteers, eat my goo, and then watch all the runners in Wave 3 line up. I get very emotional at the start and cried a couple times on the walks to the corral. My race went great. I followed the plan and it paid off. Only a couple of hiccups along the way. Had to stop and pee twice. That's old man's disease. Then at the top of Firehouse Hill, I knew I needed one more goo to make it. But my stomach wasn't at all happy about it. Forced it down, but then had to walk for about 2 minutes to let it settle. But once I settled down, off I went, running again. The last 5 miles were really hard. I'd done some marathon math at the top of Heartbreak Hill, and I knew that to get a BQ, I needed to focus and work hard. I gritted my teeth and managed to finish with a BQ number 8. What a day it was. It was really exciting. It may be time for me to give up marathons. Perhaps I need to change my name. Maybe from this point forward, I should be Half Marathon George. Bryan, Peter, how was your run today?
So, George, congratulations. And congratulations on another Boston qualifier. Holy mackerel. You know, I believed you like the last 3 times when you said you weren't running marathons anymore. So at this point, I don't actually believe you. So if you're telling the truth, I'll be very surprised.
And I'll just say congratulations, of course. Sorry I didn't see it. But if you want to stop doing marathons, that's fine. I think 10K George sounds good. Half marathon George, I mean, we will do it. But 10K George sounds just funnier.
10K George?
10K George. 10K sounds like someone's name I might have met in Japan.
That's true.
George, you do whatever you want. It sounds like it was a great day. I hear the weather was good. Is that true? Was it a beautiful day?
It's great for the audience, for the fans.
A little hot for the runners?
The celebrants. 60, low 60s. That probably was a little warm for the runners. It would have been too warm for me. I wasn't anywhere near the course. I was over celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Shot Heard Around the World in my wife's hometown of Concord, Massachusetts, just 10 or 15 miles away from the race course.
That's amazing. Do we know anything about how James McCabe did?
He finished. That's all I know.
Congratulations, James. Why haven't you left us a voice memo?
Voice memo. Voice memo.
Man, I feel like I missed a lot.
You sure did.
I mean, if you and Emily Saul want to take over the show, it's fine.
I don't think that's possible,
she had
actually.
that little dig where she's like, wow, we really got down to some serious talking without that Pete Villa here yucking it up.
Well, that's what you get for not being there. I mean, you and Dan had some funny jokes on my expense.
I was too busy going to a Hokusai exhibit and learning all about his original 36 woodblock printings of Mount Fuji.
I also have seen those.
This was the immersive show, though. This was the giant video wall that was like 180 degrees, like side, floor, ceiling. You get zoomed into them and the floor rumbles and the storm effect, like in the wave, you are in the wave. And I, at one point, said to Dave, like, I don't know much about Hokusai other than like, he's like the big deal. Do you think he would have dug this? I mean, he died in like 1837, but I was like, do you think he'd love this? And Dave was like, yeah, 100%. He was a push the envelope kind of guy. He would have thought this was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a big, and I won't get any of the facts right. I'll just say there's a really big exhibit here in Boston at the Museum of Fine Arts on his woodblock printing and other contemporaries, and then other people who did the same style, and it was amazing. It was really, really incredible. And I guess they all did wrestling. There were a lot of wrestling posters and other things, and then like stuff for kabuki theater, like because they were essentially in some ways illustrators.
Yeah, they had jobs. Yeah,
they had jobs. So, pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing. Travel the world. Makes me want to think about, do you do the Tokyo Marathon? Is that a thing?
You might.
If you do the Tokyo Marathon, then do you do all the majors just to do them? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how many road marathons I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, I hear that too. They're not fun. For some people, they are.
Well, they can be.
I bet for James McCabe it was. Why didn't he give us a voice memo?
I'm sure he will.
I feel like this is the call to action. Bryan, while I was gone, have you done any major preparation for the This Would Have Been Shorter Tomorrow Ultra, June 21st, Saturday?
Peter, 25 minutes in. I'm so glad you asked. Yeah. Brewmeister Will and I ran 18 on the course.
I'm sorry. Connection here
on Saturday.
On Zoom here might be bad. I know you said 8.
Right.
It came off like 18.
Right. Concord to Lexington and back in a driving rainstorm on the way out, and then fairly pleasant on the way back. And 18 miles. That's what Professor Lollipop had for us.
Eureka! I've done it again!
So, that happened. And then I'll tell you a funny thing that happened. The last 2 miles were slow and painful, and a woman is walking her dog, coming the other way, talking very loudly and assertively into her phone as she's walking the other way, and we can't really understand what she's saying. We're just we're struggling at this point. Every mile we're stopping and walking and pretending to drink water and take in nutrition, but really we're just not running. And so we're jogging forward, I guess you could call it jogging. And as she comes into earshot, she says into her phone, "You giving it your all?" And Will and I couldn't stop laughing. It's like, it doesn't look like it, but clearly I am giving it my all. I can't lift my feet up to avoid the rocks that are on the trail, but I am giving it my all.
Well, you left it on the field.
Indeed. Yeah, I was very, very tired for the rest of the day. I was completely wrecked.
I have a question. Professor Lollipop has you doing 18 this early?
Yeah, he's got like this crazy thing where we ran 18. Next weekend's supposed to be a cutback to a 13, and then we go to a 20, and then we do that again, and then maybe again, and then maybe again, and then we taper for a couple weeks, and then we run the thing. Yeah, it's so many miles. I've run more miles this month than I have, I think, in 2.5 or 3 years.
This is very exciting stuff.
It's tiring.
I feel like I've been holding you back.
What?
I
How
feel
is
like
that possible?
the best thing I could have done was leave the country.
I've just been doing what it says on the piece of paper.
Wow.
It's really hard. Yeah, well, Will's been great. We've done most of those long runs together, so that's been really helpful.
Now, is he coming out for the race?
Yeah, he's doing it.
We call it a race, but it's not a race. It's a run.
It's an event. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's whatever people want it to be.
He ran his longest this year at the solstice, the winter solstice. So this will certainly be his longest, yeah.
And I got a verbal from Greg Shea. He'll be joining us.
Wait, what? For the summer?
So it'll come out.
That's incredible.
Very exciting.
Well, we have to determine a starting time.
All right, let's not do that now.
And then from there, a course. I mean, finish up figuring out the course, but yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, I mean, are we trying to follow the whole sunrise to sunset thing?
That is one option. Remember, it's likely going to be very hot by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So there's a siesta built into this.
Well, or having it wrapped up by then, yeah.
That's not really the spirit of the event.
It was never to run from sunup to sundown.
Is that true? I'd have to go back and check the logs.
It is absolutely true.
What if it's just you should run a lot while the sun is up?
That's what this is.
And a lot could be, 3 miles.
It could be.
I hope it will be.
And then there's an Uber.
If I can train right.
It's fine.
Yeah. If there's an Uber.
Don't forget your bus pass.
Or if, there's a barbecue place that's open.
Well, then
phone payment.
Bring that to Bryan's house for the after party.
Yep. I think we got to get...
If that's enticing for anybody.
I think in a future episode, to be named later, we have to come up with some parameters. Because I feel like it's a little loosey-goosey in a world where you're pumping out 18s and 20s. And I'm like, wait, aren't we walking together and talking and recording and talking to people? But it sounds like you and Will are going to be carrying like flags.
Well, you went to the other side of the planet Earth.
I did.
So...
But I came back.
On my own, I had to continue.
See, now I know what it's like if I'm on the other side, on the veil. If I go through the veil.
Peter.
No.
Where are you?
Right here. We're just on Zoom.
All right.
Bryan, this has been a great episode. I'm so excited to be back into the swing of it. Can't wait to see you in person. And, real quick, just before we let everybody go, Dave and I threatened to record almost every single day.
I was waiting for those missives that I was going to insert into the show.
And then on the train ride to the airport, when I was leaving, I turned to him and said, my God, we've never recorded. We were both flummoxed by that. And we have since threatened to do a post wrap-up discussion with each other on Zoom where maybe we could put some thoughts together, because I think he has some specific thoughts he wouldn't mind sharing.
Well, now I know why it took 20 years for you to get to Japan and do this trip. Because it sounds like a lot of great ideas, but execution is slow in coming.
Sometimes with old friends, it's like that.
Of course it is.
It's a very forgiving situation.
That's right. That's how they become old friends.
And just for the record, because I did re-listen and some of the things I promised, I don't know if you have the list there, but so high-speed train, all set. I did eat a lot of, for me, I tried a lot of different seafood.
Amazing. I'm actually astonished by that, but okay.
Almost all of it was raw. It was raw tuna, raw salmon, which was delicious, raw yellowtail, some raw squid, and then I think I had tempura. It was octopus, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of it was great and some of it has a chewy texture that I'm not interested in. But I was very proud of myself.
Well, I'm proud of you. Congratulations for finally eating seafood.
Sounds so stupid.
Well, no, I mean, if you go that long and you have a thing about it.
You wait 54 years and then you try something.
And then you go to one of the places in the world where they specialize in it. So good for you. I never even thought about it, but yes, it would have been dumb for you not to have tried it.
Well, that's it.
It would have been a missed opportunity.
It would have been a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
You don't go to Italy and not eat pasta.
You don't go to France and not eat bread and cheese.
I've never been to France.
Well,
got to fix that.
Call Dave.
Dave, put an agenda together for Paris. Where would you go from Paris?
Probably go to Nice.
Yeah, so Paris, Nice, French Riviera.
There you
Work
go.
up that agenda, and we'll do it again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got to go to bed.
Me too.
Without credits to the show, Bryan, sometimes I forget how it ends. Did you have to yell at people about something?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're just a little shy of our big goal of 100 YouTube followers. So
Wait a minute, I thought we were trying to get like 25.
we were, and we blasted through there in no time. And we've hit a little slowdown. So, folks, no matter how you listen to the show, please follow us on YouTube just to get your favorite Little Here show into the ears of others. Thank you.
This is just bragging rights.
This is just bragging rights. I mean, is it really bragging that 100 people follow you on YouTube? I don't think so. I think my grandmother has more followers.
While this music is playing underneath us, it made me realize that I think a little birdie told me that Maestro Jeff Cronenberg is working on a theme song for This Would Have Been Shorter Tomorrow Ultra. Can't wait. But I have to.
Tune in next week.